You probably heard the song, I'll Be Home for Christmas. Well, 2 years ago, our first guest didn't know if that would be his story. That's when Dr. Dilip Joseph was captured by the Taliban.
In December 2012, Dr. Dilip Joseph was working at a medical clinic in rural Afghanistan when he was captured by the Taliban. For several days, Dr. Joseph's captors forced him to hike through the rugged mountains to an unknown destination. Then, in the early morning hours of day 5, U.S. Navy SEALs burst into the room where he and the Taliban were sleeping. In his book, Kidnapped by the Taliban, Dr. Joseph gives an account of his terrifying experience, the heroic rescue, and why he continues to help the people of Afghanistan.
Welcome, Dr. Dilip, to Turning Point. Now, you've authored a book, Kidnapped by the Taliban, which tells your story. But I have to ask you, what were you doing in an area where you could have been kidnapped by the Taliban?
Great question, Muiva. I've been working with a group called Morningstar Development, and I've had the opportunity to be the medical director overseeing all of our medical work in Afghanistan. And I've been doing it for about 5.5 years. So I've had the privilege of traveling back and forth, just mainly conducting medical seminars for our health professionals in these clinics.
Now, before you started the journey, were you told before you started that these are the risks that you face? And did you think, yeah, I'm going to do it anyhow? Or do you think, Lord, keep me from that?
You know, our organization has worked in this country for 18 years, or we have actually worked with Afghans and in the country for about the last 14 years. And we have to have a very strict security protocol. So haven't had to, by God's grace, deal with any of these security problems in the past. And this, in fact, has been our first incident in all these years. But in the back of your mind, traveling into a war zone, it's always a possibility you have to deal with.
Now, it's interesting because for most of us, all we know of a place like Afghanistan is bombed, you know, bad things, and to be honest, most of us probably think, I would never do that.
Sure.
And because the people must be a certain way. Tell us that particular day when the kidnap happened, tell us what you remember of it. I know you document it in your book, but can you tell us what you remember of it right now?
Well, to answer what you're saying, you know, most of us only know of what we hear about, and there's so much more to a country and her people beyond what we can have exposure to. On that particular day, we were making our way down from our most rural medical clinic, and I suppose word had gotten out somehow that the bad guys were looking out for some foreigner. And when they stopped us on the side of the road, I think there was the moment of confusion. Wait a second, who's a foreigner? Especially with my Indian ethnic background, I could easily you know, go for one of the locals until I open my mouth and they know that I am a foreigner because I can't speak the local language.
Now, again, when we think about that part of the world, we think about Taliban, we all have a picture in our mind, which, to be honest, for most of us, think everyone there must be evil because it's bad.
Sure.
Having been captured by these people in the middle of all the confusion, the fear you must have felt because of your family, what did you get to know of the people that you were actually dealing with?
The people that we ended up dealing with in this particular situation really surprised me. You know, some of them had been veterans in this whole insurgency activity, and even then, some of them were downright scary. We had one character that the book goes into, and he was called the Butcher, and rightfully so, because that's all he did. Just like what we hear about ISIS now, all he did was behead people that they captured, and he always carried his knife with him. And another character that I get into is termed Hopeless, because he did never crack a smile on his face. And it's only the second day that we came to know that he was already given the job of taking our van and committing a suicide bombing in Kabul.
Wow.
And, you know, I had to place myself, especially with some of the principles that I live my life with, I had to essentially place myself in their situation and see how different would I be if all the exposure that I have in my life is hatred and killing people and things of that nature, some of the fundamental teaching that they're exposed to. Mm-hmm. And so I came across some other interesting characters, like this 19-year-old that I detail in the book. He was asking me all kinds of questions about why is it that I do what I do? Mm. You know, what was it about my upbringing that ended up in this path in life?
Well,
yeah.
Now, of course, there's so much in the book, and we thank God that He's allowed you to come out on the other side. You know, yeah. Thanks to the Navy SEAL, the SEALs who rescued you.
Yes.
But at the point when you were going through all this, where for you was Jesus? Did you ever think, Lord, why did you allow me to get into this?
Of course, those were some of the early conversations, if you will, that I had with God. I had this opportunity to hike for a little over 8 hours up and down mountains, very, very gruesome situation where nobody was talking. So that was great conversation time for me between myself and the Creator. And then my personal belief in Christ and my relationship with Christ made me recollect a lot of things about Christ being the ultimate example, the way He lived, the way He died, and that relationship with Christ certainly helped me through very easily one of the darkest moments that I've faced in my life.
Now, Doc, I've got just about 30 seconds left, and I wonder if you can capture in those few seconds for us what message you'd like us to take from this book, especially given the times we're in with ISIS and everything else. What from your experience, what would you like us to take from this book that we can't get from watching the newscast?
Yeah. A great question again. I think one of the key messages that I want people to take away is the fact that it's very easy to judge a book by its cover, and there's so much depth to people and people groups and even a nation. And I hope that when people read this book, they will have a different perspective on even the Taliban and a minority even within that horrible group is actually looking for opportunities for change.